Many are the games that are postponed time and time again, for various reasons, and unfortunately, some titles get trapped in a limbo where more than 7 years pass without an actual release date. Yes, I'm looking at you, Metroid Prime 4 and Good and Evil 2. The new Inazuma 11 game was among these titles, with the project being delayed for too many years now, making players believe that we will never see a new entry in the series for modern consoles. This all changed however with a public demo, a demo that single-handedly saved the title from being cut entirely. But first things first, roll the intro. From the day a game is announced to its release, many things can happen. A studio may change personnel, the project might grow in ambition, millions of technical challenges may arise, fundamental design choices need to be scrapped, and much more, all things that cause a game to be postponed and at times even downgraded. Usually the reason why a game is postponed is because a publisher is too optimistic on an upcoming title, promising too much with too little resources allocated. But sometimes what seems to be a fairly easy project to make simply does not work as intended. This was the case for Inazuma 11 Ares, a game announced in 2016 but never released to the public. We saw a new trailer every year or so, but we never got to play the game ourselves. While most developers at that point would give up and scrap the project altogether to save face, Level 5 Games decided to do something daring, something we almost never see happening in the gaming world, to release a demo of the game. I'll soon discuss the quality of the demo itself, but in a nutshell this proved to be a masterclass of a move, with the demo receiving over 500,000 downloads in 4 days, giving new life to the whole project. In this video therefore, I'll discuss not only the quality of the demo, the game experience itself and the potential the game has, but I will also discuss why other developers need to emulate this move, why they should release more demos for upcoming games rather than empty trailers. This is a story of how a demo saved a video game. In 2008, Level 5, a Fukuokan company known for various franchises, from Professor Layton to Ni no Kuni to Yokai Watch, released Inazuma 11 for the Nintendo DS, a peculiar football game that had role-playing game elements. Football matches felt like turn-based battles, and every character had their own stats and power moves. I did not play much of the original title, or at least in recent times, but I vividly recall being it quite fun but also quite complex for newcomers. At the same time, an anime about the game was made, and to say that the anime was a success is to say the least. If anything, most people believe that the anime came first and the video game adaptation second, yet that's not the case. Level 5 is literally credited in the opening. And not to go to a tangent here, but that intro sure brings back good memories. It's not like I watched too much of this show or anything. The best season is of course the third one, and Chronostone really threw me off. Go in general was alright, but the original 127 episode had a charm that is hard to match. Tale told by the regional cast at Rainbow Junior High. Whoa, I got sidetracked there. What were we talking about? Ah, right, the games. So yes, Level 5 did a couple of games for the DS and 3DS and a spin-off for the Wii. But even if the anime was more popular than ever, main titles stopped being made after 2013. The last reboot the anime got I think was not even based on a released game. Speaking of, in 2016, Level 5 did announce their newer game Inazuma 11 Ares, a full-on enhanced version of the franchise, no longer a handheld game but a game for main consoles. The title looked promising from the trailers, but year after year it always got delayed. It was clear that the game development was simply not going anywhere, and the title was de facto cancelled. There was something in the game that Level 5 could not greenlight, could not match the fairly high standards the publisher had. From the trailers it is hard to judge what exactly did not work, but whatever it was, it halted the project progression from almost a decade. But long story short, in March of 2024, by surprise, Level 5 announced not only that they were not abandoning the project, but that they were releasing a public demo for the now called Inazuma 11 Victory Road. A demo that not only has quite a roster of characters to choose from, items to collect and challenges to complete, but also multiplayer, yes multiplayer, both friendlies and ranked. Granted, the demo only has football matches and nothing from the story mode, but if I time the release of this video correctly, a demo for that part of the game is soon releasing as well. The quality of the gameplay, the one that was accessible in the demo I played, was beyond my expectations. It truly captivated the magic that defined the first game and the anime. Just like the original game, the title is a hybrid between a football game and a turn-based RPG like Dragon Quest. You don't simply dribble away opponents, but you face them 1v1. You don't simply shoot and score, but you match different special shots in order to deal the greatest damage possible to the keeper. You don't simply choose players for their design, but their various abilities, skills and stats, not to mention that after each game they become stronger by leveling up. Speaking of, the difference between players is greater than I would have imagined. I will not dive into the specifics, but basically choosing different players really makes for a different game experience. The original game was heavily built around the mechanic of recruiting new and unique players, and I'm happy to see the sequel is following its footsteps. The permutations of the various team compositions you can create are endless, and it is quite fun to try new setups. Inazuma 11 is a role-playing game in all of its aspects and intricacy, but is played as a football game. I know this may be hard to understand, even because it is hard to explain to begin with, but trust me when I say that the gameplay simply works. The skills required to play the game are balanced between a sport aspect and a turn-based aspect. It is a surreal experience, yet one that is extremely gratifying. It is plenty to build up an action from net to net, to both think of what to do, but also at the same time react to your opponent's counters. And unlike the original DS game, this time the football part of the game is easier to grasp. There are some tricky things to master, like breaking through a player defense, but in general the flow of the game is smooth. Of course, the game is still a demo, and many are the elements that will be changed, improved or scrapped, but overall the game experience is frenetic and exciting, everything fans were wishing for, especially the ones that waited for a proper mainline entry for over 10 years. The only feedback I would give to the developers is to find a way to nerf or buff teams online. It is frustrating to play against opponents who have squads 10 levels higher than yours. The RPG level gap is simply too wide to fill up with your own football skills. Oh, and there are of course some bugs and ping problems to be resolved. For being a demo, Victory Road showcases levels of complexity that would make for a solid title. I played the demo for over 15 hours in the past weeks, and I still did not make my squad perfectly optimized. There's a competitive scene online for, and I will highlight this again, a demo for a yet to be released game. The demo released without much marketing behind, yet after 4 days it surpassed the 500,000 downloads and perhaps even reached 1 million by now. And keep in mind it is currently only available on one console, the Nintendo Switch. The game will be releasing for PlayStation, Xbox and PC too, and cross-platform support play is something developers are working on. After the good news and immense positive feedback, Level 5 Games is definitely not abandoning the project now. We could say that this is an extremely rare story of how a video game demo saved an almost cancelled game. And that's the second half of the story. Inazuma 11 Victory Road is a demonstration that demos are much more stronger and effective tools to convey the upcoming quality of an entry rather than an empty trailer. Playing rather than seeing a game is the best way not only to save a project, but also to sell it. Well over 2 years ago, I did a video addressing the importance demos have in the gaming world. A video where essentially I praised game demos and begged developers to bring them back. In that video, however, I mostly discussed demos of games already released, and while those game demos are great and my points still stand, Inazuma 11's demo helped me realize the importance game demos have for yet to be released games too. You see, in this channel I rarely talk about upcoming games, because I am not too big of a fan of speculation. When I discuss video game design and the game experience, I prefer to reflect upon games played rather than hypotheticals, what a game would be based on some CGI trailers. Judging a game on trailers is straight up impossible, but basing my impressions on a demo is another story. I strongly believe that Inazuma 11 Victory Road demonstrates the importance of letting players play an upcoming game. Rather than to blindly trust Level 5 with a game that went through development purgatory, the developers came out clean and let the players judge the game progression by themselves and hear the feedback from them to improve the final game. Rather than reacting to a trailer, I find it more meaningful to react to a playable demo. Games are not movies where the player only watches the action, but the player experiences such action. It controls the characters on screen, being themselves the protagonists of the game in question. Of course, demos cannot show the entirety of a new game, but my impressions of Inazuma 11 are much clearer and real because I've played the game. I don't talk of what ifs and it would be nice, but my actual first-hand impressions. I will keep a close eye on the upcoming project, because I know for a fact the gameplay experience is great. It needs some work, but conceptually is well made and it is above all fun to play. And just as a side note, I'm not too big of a football fan, I like Formula 1 more, as you can probably tell from my videos. Releasing a demo for an upcoming game takes time, resources and above all courage, but I strongly believe that it pays off, and more developers should do what Level 5 did for their long-awaited sequel. Don't trust trailers, play the demos. It is always a nightmare to read that a game was delayed for the 10th time, that a long-awaited sequel has a hard time taking off properly and remains grounded. Inazuma 11 Victory Road finds itself in the same swamp as other sunk projects, but rather than to call it quits, the strategy level 5 adopted to re-energize the project works sublimely, and I strongly believe it should be emulated by other game studios. I cannot say if the final game will be a success or not, but my impressions of the demo are quite positive, and I cannot wait to see how level 5 will bring back an epic RPG to modern consoles. This game was the perfect example of why I prefer demos over trailers. If you made it this far, I wanted to thank you one too many Inazuma 11 times for watching today's video. I'm always happy when making new videos, but working on this one was a truly great joy. I love Inazuma 11 and I cannot wait to play its entirety when it comes out. If you have the right console, I suggest to give the demo a try yourself. I wish you a wonderful day, and until next time, arrivederci!